What if the books that built empires could double your fortune too? We bring classic books to life for today's dreamers and doers. We revive timeless classics for today's dreamers and doers. Wealth, health, freedom, words that shape your destiny. Listen while you walk, work, or dream. Wisdom follows you. You grow, not just richer, but wiser, calmer, and braver. Fortune doubles. Listen, learn, transform. Subscribe now. Every great mind has a mentor. For Warren Buffett, that mentor was Benjamin Graham, a quiet, thoughtful professor. Not flashy, not loud, but razor sharp. The kind of man who saw through illusions and into value. Buffett read Graham's book, The Intelligent Investor, when he was just 19, and it flipped a switch in his brain. Graham's ideas were simple, but powerful. Stocks weren't lottery tickets. They were pieces of real businesses. That single idea changed Buffett's life. He learned this golden rule. Price is what you pay. Value is what you get. That's it. That's the game. Most investors chase hot stocks, hype, and headlines. Buffett learned to chase something different, intrinsic value. He looked for great companies, temporarily undervalued by the market. It's like buying a $1 bill for 50 cents. Here's a classic Graham strategy, the margin of safety. If a company is worth $100 a share, Buffett wouldn't buy it at $99. He'd wait until it dropped to $70 or even $60. Why? Because things go wrong. Markets panic. CEOs make mistakes. A margin of safety gives you room to breathe. It's the financial version of a seatbelt. Let's paint a picture. Imagine you're buying a used car. You inspect it carefully. You compare prices. You make sure it runs. You negotiate. Now, imagine doing the opposite. Buying a car based on a rumor that it's trending. That's how most people treat stocks, but not Buffett. Thanks to Graham, he treats every investment like a business. Now let's talk about Mr. Market, one of Graham's most famous metaphors. Picture this. You own a business. Every day, a moody partner named Mr. Market knocks on your door. Some days, he offers to buy your share for way too much. Other days, he offers way too little. Here's the key. You don't have to sell. You can ignore Mr. Market's mood swings and focus on long-term value. That idea alone can save you years of stress and thousands of dollars. Buffett became Graham's student at Columbia. He even got an A+ in his class, the only one Graham ever gave. But here's the emotional part. Warren idolized Graham. He desperately wanted to work at his firm, Graham Newman, and Graham said no at first. But Buffett didn't give up. He wrote letters, called, showed up. Finally, Graham said yes. Warren got the job, and the real education began. What did Buffett learn? Patience, discipline, and a deep respect for doing nothing when nothing needs to be done. Graham didn't chase markets, he waited. That's what Buffett learned to master, and what most investors can't seem to do. Here's a quick fictional example. Let's say there's a company, Maple Shoes, great brand, loyal customers. But Wall Street panics because of a bad earnings report. Stock drops 40%. Most people, they run. But someone like Buffett, he digs in, looks at the balance sheet, and if the fundamentals are strong, he buys more, not less. That's value investing. That's Graham's fingerprint. Buffett eventually evolved beyond Graham's strict methods. He added his own twist, looking for wonderful businesses at fair prices, not just bargains. But Graham laid the foundation. He gave Buffett something few people have. A mental filter. A system. A way to tell signal from noise, and that's priceless. Apply today. Tips. Study businesses, not stocks. Ask, would I want to own this company forever? Ignore the crowd. Hype is loud. Value is quiet. Trust your research. Wait for the margin of safety. Don't buy just because it dropped. Buy when it's truly underpriced. 5-step action plan. Read The Intelligent Investor. Even one chapter will shift how you see the stock market. Practice patience. Track a stock you admire. Don't buy it. Watch it. Learn its rhythms. Create your own Mr. Market journal. Write down emotional reactions you feel during market. Ups and downs. Build awareness of your biases. Graham gave Buffett something more valuable than money. He gave him clarity. Clarity to think independently, to trust numbers over narratives, and to wait for the moment when price and value finally align. Buffett once said, "To invest successfully, you don't need a stratospheric IQ. What you need is the temperament to control the urges that get others into trouble." That temperament, he learned it from Benjamin Graham, and now you've learned it too. We step into Buffett's early investment deals. Real companies, real risks, real returns. This is where theory becomes practice, where the lessons of Graham meet the grit of the real world. Want to see how Buffett took $100 and turned it into a fortune? Let's rewind to Omaha, just after Warren Buffett left Columbia. He was only in his early 20s, but already sharper than most seasoned investors. Fresh out of Benjamin Graham's classroom, Buffett returned home with a brain full of ideas and a hunger to apply them. He didn't have much money, but he had something better. Clarity. Buffett started small, really small. While others dreamed about Wall Street, he was knocking on doors, reading obscure financial statements, digging for mispriced opportunities, like a treasure hunter with X-ray vision. One of his earliest plays? GEICO. Not just a car insurance company, but a hidden gem. Why GEICO? Because it had a business model that most people didn't understand. Instead of using agents, GEICO sold insurance directly to consumers. That meant lower costs and higher margins. Buffett saw what others missed. He visited GEICO's headquarters on a whim, unannounced. A janitor let him in. And there, he met Lorimer Davidson, a GEICO executive who took the time to walk young Warren through the entire business model. That visit changed his life. Buffett invested most of his savings into GEICO, and it paid off big. Now let's talk about another big early play. Sanborn Map Company. Most people saw it as a boring map business. Buffett saw something else. Sanborn owned a hidden portfolio of stocks worth more than the entire market value of the company itself. Let that sink in. Imagine buying a pizza for $10 and finding $20 in the box. That's what Sanborn was. Buffett bought in, rallied shareholders, and unlocked the value. He wasn't just investing, he was activating hidden potential. Another early win, Dempster Mill Manufacturing. This one wasn't a clean play, it was messy. The company made windmills and farm equipment, and it was losing money. But Buffett noticed something. Even though it was struggling, it had valuable assets. Inventory, land, and receivables, worth far more than the company's stock price. He bought a controlling stake, replaced management, and turned things around. It wasn't just about numbers, it was about strategy. What's the lesson? Buffett's early investments weren't sexy, they weren't trendy, but they were smart. He didn't chase momentum, he hunted for mispriced value, then moved boldly. Here's a quick fictional example. Let's say there's a small business called Luna Paper Co. The market thinks it's worth $5 million. But Buffett, he sees that it owns warehouses worth $3 million, inventory worth $4 million, and a loyal client base. He does the math. He sees $7 million in real value, selling for $5. That's the kind of bet Buffett made, again and again. But it wasn't just math, it was mindset. Buffett had the emotional discipline to act when others hesitated, to see past the noise, to dig deeper, and that's what set him apart. He also learned this: buying is only half the game. The other half, knowing when to hold and when to walk away. In some cases, like with Dempster, he rolled up his sleeves and got involved. In others, like Sanborn, He unlocked the hidden assets and moved on. Every investment taught him something new. Apply today. Tips. Look beneath the surface. Most companies aren't what they seem. Read, dig, analyze, search for asset value. Sometimes a stock is cheap because no one's looked closely enough. Start small, but think big. You don't need millions to spot opportunity. You need a trained, three-step action plan. Practice value spotting. Pick 3 stocks this week. Look for hidden assets or undervalued earnings. Create a watch list. Track companies that are unloved but financially solid. Wait for the right moment. Do a Geeko deep dive. Study how Buffett analyzed it. Break down the business model. Understand the why behind the investment. These early investments weren't just money plays. They were training reps. Every deal sharpened Buffett's judgment, taught him patience, and proved one thing again and again. The market may be efficient, but not always rational, and when it's not, that's where fortunes are made. Buffett wasn't waiting for luck. He was stacking the odds in his favor, one smart bet at a time. By 1956, Warren Buffett was just 25 years old. Most people his age were still figuring life out. But Buffett? He was ready to launch his own investment firm, not a flashy Wall Street fund. No giant office in Manhattan, just a small, quiet operation in Omaha. One man and an ironclad investing philosophy. He called it the Buffett Partnership. Led modest beginnings, only 7 limited partners. Total capital, a little over $100,000. But what Buffett brought to the table was precision. He had rules, clear, disciplined, unshakable. He didn't promise to beat the market every month. He didn't brag. He simply said, "I won't lose your money, and if I do well, I'll do better than average." That honesty built trust. But the results? They built awe. Here's how it worked. Buffett took no fee unless he beat a fixed benchmark, typically 6% annually. If he earned more than that, he took 25% of the excess. Simple, fair, skin in the game. If he made nothing, he earned nothing. That's how you build integrity with capital. Now here's what made the Buffett partnership different. He wasn't throwing darts. He was a sniper, looking for companies selling below their true value, often by a wide margin. He used what he learned from Ben Graham, the idea of cigar butts. Businesses that maybe had one last puff of value left in them. Buffett would scoop them up, wait patiently, and sell when the price corrected. It wasn't glamorous, but it worked. One of his early wins in the partnership? Cleveland Worsted Mills, a struggling textile company. But the math told a different story. Assets exceeded liabilities by a wide margin. And the market hadn't caught on. Buffett made his move. Bought in cheap, waited, exited profitably. That pattern repeated over and over. Here's the beauty of Buffett's strategy. He didn't care about headlines. He didn't chase hot stocks. He stayed in his lane, quietly building wealth while others were busy showing off. This is what real power looks like. Calm, consistent, focused. Let me give you a quick fictional parallel. Imagine a startup fund today, with just $100K in capital. Most would go for flashy AI stocks, crypto coins, or meme trends. Buffett, he'd find a small forgotten company with solid cash flow and hidden real estate assets. He'd buy, hold, and let time do the work. That's the Buffett rhythm, and it started showing. In just a few years, his capital base multiplied. By the early 1960s, the partnership was managing millions, still in Omaha. Still quiet, still outpacing the market every single year. But here's the turning point. Buffett wasn't just beating the market. He was crushing it, year after year, with iron discipline. He wasn't just getting lucky. He was compounding intelligence with patience. That's when people started paying attention. What's the takeaway? You don't need to be loud to win. You need to be clear, consistent, and committed. Buffett didn't seek attention. He sought truth. And the truth was, most investors were impulsive. He was methodical. That difference made all the difference. Apply today tips. Create your own filter. What will you invest in? What won't you? Write it down. Stick to it. Don't chase. Attract. Let good opportunities come to you after deep analysis, not hype. Be your own benchmark. Measure yourself against your past performance, not someone else's highlight reel. Step action plan. Set your investing rules. What return would satisfy you? What risk are you willing to accept? Get clear. Build a watch and wait list. Like Buffett, track undervalued businesses and wait for the perfect price. Study the Buffett partnership letters. They're still available online. His annual updates offer rare insights into disciplined, ethical investing. Here's something powerful to remember. The Buffett partnership wasn't about fast money. It was about forever money, quietly built. Deeply earned, lastingly respected. Most people want to get rich quick. Buffett, he was willing to get rich slow because he knew something they didn't. Slow is smooth, and smooth is fast over time. We zoom in on a major acquisition that would change Buffett's path forever. The purchase of a struggling textile company called Berkshire Hathaway. Why would one of the smartest investors in the world buy a dying business? There's a lesson there, and you'll hear it next. Sometimes, your worst decision ends up unlocking your greatest path. That's exactly what happened when Warren Buffett bought Berkshire Hathaway. Let me be clear. He didn't plan on turning it into an empire. At the time, Berkshire was just a dying textile mill. Old machines, outdated operations, fading profits. Buffett didn't fall in love with the business. He fell in love with the numbers. He saw a company trading for less than the value of its assets. Classic Ben Graham cigar butt strategy. One last puff of value. So he bought a stake, waited, and expected to sell when the price corrected. Simple, right? Well, here's where emotion crept in. Buffett made an offer to sell his shares back to the company, and the CEO lowballed him. It wasn't just business. It felt personal. Buffett didn't like being played. So what did he do? He bought more stock until he controlled the whole company. That was a rare emotional move for Buffett, and he later called it a mistake. Because now, instead of cashing out, he owned a business with a weak future. But here's where Buffett's genius shines through. He didn't dwell on the error. He adapted. He said, "All right, if I'm stuck with this thing, I'm going to use it as a holding company." He kept the Berkshire name, but the mission changed. No longer just textiles. Now it became a vehicle to buy other businesses. And that shift, that one pivot, it changed financial history. Soon, Buffett used Berkshire to buy insurance companies, not because he loved insurance, but because of what they came with, float. Let me explain. When insurance companies collect premiums, they don't pay out claims right away. That delay, the pool of money sitting in the middle, is called float. Buffett realized, if he could invest that float wisely, he could multiply returns without needing new capital. It was like having someone else fund your investments, interest-free. That was the breakthrough. Berkshire Hathaway became more than a holding company. It became Buffett's investment engine. He poured cash into companies like National Indemnity, Geico, The Washington Post, See's Candies, each. Acquisition followed one rule: buy great businesses at fair prices and let them run independently. No micromanaging, no Wall Street noise, just trust, talent, and time. The irony, that emotional decision, buying Berkshire out of spite, turned into the platform of a lifetime. Sometimes it's not the mistake that matters, it's what you build from it. Let's break this into something you can use today. Modern parallel. Let's say you made a bad business choice, bought the wrong franchise, invested in a dud, joined a team that fizzled. It stings, But like Buffett, you can pivot. Ask, what's still usable here? What doors has this mistake opened? How can I turn this pain into power? Because here's the truth. Even a wrong turn can lead to the right road, if you're willing to keep walking. Apply today. Tips: separate emotion from investment. Buffett admitted his mistake, but made it work. Don't let pride sink your ship. Look for hidden leverage. Berkshire's float was invisible to most. What's your unseen advantage? Turn your weakest asset into your strongest move. Even a broken business can become a brilliant vehicle if used right. Step action plan. Review your past mistakes without shame. What lesson did each one leave behind? Find one dead end you can repurpose. Maybe it's a failed project, a toxic job, or a sunk cost. Is there anything salvageable? Build a float mindset. What capital or time is sitting idle in your life? And how could you invest it? Buffett's legacy didn't start with perfection. It started with a bad deal, turned into a bold idea, and guided by consistent discipline. So next time you make a misstep, ask yourself, is this a mistake or the beginning of something better? Because Berkshire Hathaway, one of the world's most valuable companies, was born from a moment of frustration. Now it's a monument to long-term thinking. We dive into how Buffett began building a portfolio of permanent businesses and how the culture of Berkshire Hathaway became its secret weapon, decentralized, ethical, and unstoppable. Don't miss it. By now, you know Buffett doesn't chase quick wins. He builds empires that last. But here's the part most people miss. It's not just what he buys, it's how he builds. And it all starts with culture. At Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett created something no spreadsheet could measure: a legacy of trust, autonomy, and integrity. He didn't just buy businesses. He invited leaders to stay and left them alone to thrive. No micromanaging, no quarterly pressure, no corporate playbook, just one clear rule: do what's right for the customer, the brand, and the long term. That simple standard turned Berkshire into a magnet for quality companies. Let me paint the picture. Imagine you're the founder of a beloved family business. You've poured decades into building it. Now you want to sell, but you don't want your life's work sliced apart by corporate sharks. Then Buffett calls. He says, "We love what you've built. Keep running it. No interference. Just keep doing what you do best." Feels different, doesn't it? That's why companies like See's Candies, Nebraska Furniture Mart, and Borsheim's Jewelry didn't just sell to Buffett. They stayed loyal to him. Because Berkshire wasn't just a buyer. It was a sanctuary for entrepreneurs. Here's the magic. Buffett didn't centralize operations. He decentralized trust. No boardroom battles, no synergies. No culture clash. Just an invisible thread holding it all together. Values, honesty, patience, discipline, and a refusal to play Wall Street's short-term games. Want proof that this worked? While most CEOs were bouncing between companies every few years, Buffett kept his CEOs for decades. They didn't leave because they felt ownership, even after selling. That's rare, and it speaks volumes. Now let's flip the mirror. What does this mean for you? Even if you're not buying billion-dollar businesses, you're always building a culture in your team, your brand, your home. People don't stay because of contracts. They stay because they're respected. And when you give people trust, the best ones rise. Modern parallel. In today's fast-moving world, the default is control. We track, we monitor, we manage every second. But Buffett teaches the opposite. Empower the right people and step back. Don't control. Curate. Apply today. Tips: don't hire resumes, hire values. A smart person without integrity is a future headache. Let go of unnecessary control. If you've got to babysit everything, it's not scalable. Create an environment of ownership. Make people feel like partners, not pawns. Step action plan. Audit your leadership style. Are you building trust or enforcing fear? Write your invisible culture code. What do you stand for? What behaviors are non-negotiable? Empower someone this week. Hand off a task fully and trust the outcome. Watch what happens. Warren Buffett once said, "We don't tell our managers what to do. They already know. That's why we bought their business." And that one belief, in people over process, is what helped him scale Berkshire into a multi-hundred-billion-dollar machine without losing its soul. So whether you're building a brand, a team, or a household, remember this. Culture eats control for breakfast. You don't need more rules. You need more trustworthy people. Hire, write, trust deep, and build something that lasts. Every genius needs a mirror. Someone who doesn't flatter, but sharpens. Someone who says, "You're brilliant, but what if you're wrong?" For Warren Buffett, that mirror was Charlie Munger, and together, they became the most iconic investing duo of our time. Charlie wasn't like Warren. He wasn't soft-spoken or gentle with his words. He was razor-sharp, intellectually fearless, and unafraid to disagree. While Buffett leaned heavily on Ben Graham's cigar butt philosophy, buying cheap businesses and squeezing the last puff of value. Charlie challenged him. He said, "Warren, why not buy a wonderful business at a fair price instead of a mediocre one at a bargain?" At first, Buffett resisted. It went against everything he'd been taught. But slowly, Charlie's wisdom sank, and then it changed the course of Buffett's strategy forever. You see, Charlie brought something priceless to the table: mental models. He didn't just look at numbers. He studied how the world works: biology, physics, psychology, economics. He pulled from every discipline to form a better lens for decision-making. He once said, "If you only have a hammer, every problem looks like a nail." Charlie believed in building a latticework of ideas, so you could see the world clearly, from every angle. Buffett once joked, "Charlie says I'm like a guy who plays the violin, and Charlie is the one who tells me when it's out of tune." But Buffett knew Charlie was the reason he could evolve, because without Munger, Buffett might have stayed a great investor. But with Munger, he became a legendary business owner. Take See's Candies, for example. Buffett wouldn't have touched it years earlier. The price was too high. But Charlie pushed. He saw its brand loyalty, its pricing power, its simplicity. Buffett took the leap, and it became one of Berkshire's best-performing assets. That was Munger's influence, teaching Buffett to look beyond the balance sheet and focus on quality, durability, and long-term value. Here's what we can all learn from that friendship. Your greatest upgrade often comes from someone who challenges you. Not argues, challenges, elevates, expands your lens. Modern parallel. Look around your circle. Are you surrounded by yes men, or do you have people who tell you the truth, not to tear you down, but to build you higher? That's what Charlie was for Warren, a constant test of logic, a second brain, and a loyal, lifelong friend. Apply today. Tips. Seek out people who stretch your thinking. Don't just chase comfort, chase clarity. Learn across disciplines. Read widely. Psychology, history, science. It all adds depth. Challenge your default beliefs. If your thinking never gets questioned, it's probably outdated. Step action plan. List your current mentors and influences. Are they helping you grow, or just keeping you safe? Study mental models. Read one new idea this week from outside your industry. Think like Munger. Ask for feedback, real feedback, from someone smart enough to see your blind spots, and kind enough to tell you, Buffett and Munger weren't just business partners. They were intellectual soulmates. Two minds, wildly different, yet perfectly aligned in purpose. And through that bond, they built a fortress of rationality in a world full of hype. So ask yourself, who's my Munger? And more importantly, who am I being a Munger for? Because wisdom isn't just what you know, It's what you challenge, refine, and pass on. Warren Buffett could live in a palace. He could own private islands, custom jets, golden elevators, if he wanted. But instead, he still lives in the same modest house in Omaha he bought back in 1958. For $31,500. Why? Because Warren Buffett doesn't live for show. He lives for substance. And that lifestyle, that discipline, isn't just about humility. It's a strategy. Let's get honest for a second. Most people today don't just spend money. They spend their peace of mind trying to impress people who aren't even paying attention. They upgrade their car, their house, their watch, but downgrade their freedom. Buffett flipped that script. He didn't chase luxury. He chased leverage, mental clarity, emotional space. Time to think, read, and act without noise. That's the real flex. You see, Buffett's house isn't small because he's frugal. It's small because it's enough. It gives him stability. It shields him from distractions. It reminds him that wealth is a tool, not a trophy. Now here's the kicker. Despite being one of the richest people alive, Buffett still eats at McDonald's, drinks cherry Coke, and drives himself to work. Why? Because he doesn't outsource his joy. He knows what he loves, and he doesn't need to upgrade it to impress the world. We live in a culture that screams, more is better. Flash means success. But Buffett whispers something different. Real wealth is peace, and peace comes from knowing who you are and living below your means. There's something powerful in that, because every time you buy what you don't need, you're trading a piece of your freedom, the monthly payment, the maintenance, the mental clutter. Buffett avoided all that by mastering one word: enough. Modern parallel. Social media makes it feel like we're all behind. Someone's always doing more, buying bigger, flaunting louder. But that's the trap. Because real wealth isn't loud. It's invisible. It's in having choices, sleeping well, saying no. Buffett built a fortune, but more importantly, he kept his freedom. And freedom isn't measured by money. It's measured by how little you need to feel full. Apply today. Tips: redefine rich for yourself. Is it about things, or time, peace, and freedom? Simplify one area of your life this week. Cancel a subscription, downsize a bill, clear a shelf. Spend only on what brings true joy, not validation. If it doesn't light you up, let it go. Step action plan. Audit your spending. What's truly necessary and what's just noise. Create a joy budget. List the few things that bring you deep happiness and lean into those. Practice enough thinking. Next time you want more, ask, do I already have enough to feel content? Warren Buffett's lifestyle teaches us this. You don't need to live big to live well. You just need to live deliberately, with intention, with clarity, and with the courage to say, I don't need more to be more. So, next time you feel pressure to upgrade your life for the crowd, remember Warren. In that quiet Omaha home, reading, thinking, and smiling at the fact that freedom is the real wealth. And guess what? It's available to you too. We'll unpack how Buffett stayed rational through the biggest financial storms in history, and why his calm mindset, not just his stock picks, made him unstoppable. It's a guide to mastering emotions when the world goes crazy. It's easy to look wise when skies are clear, but when the storm hits, that's when real investors are revealed. Warren Buffett didn't just make billions by picking great stocks. He made billions by staying calm when others lost their minds. That's the hidden power of his fortune, not just intelligence, but emotional control. During market crashes, when TV anchors were panicking, when Wall Street was bleeding, and people were dumping stocks in fear, Buffett, he was buying, not recklessly, not carelessly, but rationally, because he understood something most don't. Fear is temporary. Value is eternal. Let's go back to 2008. Lehman Brothers collapsed. Banks froze. People were terrified. Investors pulled their money out, sat on the sidelines, or ran for cover. Buffett. He calmly invested billions into American companies. Why? Because he saw fear as opportunity, not a signal to flee. He often said, "Be fearful when others are greedy," and "Be greedy when others are fearful." But let's break that down. He wasn't telling you to gamble. He was reminding us, when emotions run high, logic must rise higher. Buffett doesn't get caught up in headlines. He doesn't check the stock ticker every hour. He doesn't trade based on Twitter trends. He studies the business. He trusts the fundamentals. And he waits, patiently, quietly, like a lion, not a squirrel. This mindset comes from years of practice and a deep belief markets will wobble. But human progress doesn't stop. Even when it feels like the end of the world, Buffett zooms out. He remembers that America bounced back from wars, recessions, inflation, even depression, and he bets on resilience, not panic. In 1973, the market tanked. Buffett lost millions, on paper. But instead of selling, he loaded up on bargains. By the time the market recovered, those bargains became some of the greatest holdings in Berkshire's history. That's the difference between reacting and responding. Modern parallel. Think about the last time you panicked, financially, emotionally, mentally. Did it help, or did it cost you more than you realized? Buffett's success isn't just about making the right move. It's about not making the wrong move when fear screams at you. Apply today. Tips. Build an emotional buffer. When bad news hits, take a breath. Delay your reaction. Look at the 5-year picture. Will this still matter? Create rules before chaos hits. Like Buffett, have a plan and stick to it when emotions rise. Step action plan. Write down your financial principles. What do you believe, even when the market shakes? Practice the pause. When you feel fear, wait 24 hours before acting. Study history. Learn from past downturns and how they always ended with recovery. Buffett isn't just a master of money, he's a master of temperament, because the greatest edge in investing is not information. It's your ability to stay calm, clear, and rational when everyone else is losing their heads. So next time the world feels shaky, remember Warren, sitting quietly with his cherry Coke, buying stocks while the world screams, knowing that fear is a fire and calm is water. You get to choose which one you pour. Most billionaires speak in jargon. They hide behind data, charts, and 20-page memos. But Warren Buffett, he speaks like your neighbor, simple words, clear ideas. Stories that stick, and that's not a coincidence. That's a strategy. You see, Buffett knows that brilliance isn't proven by complexity. It's proven by how simply you can explain the complex. That's why every year, in his famous Berkshire Hathaway letters, he writes, not for analysts, but for his sisters, literally. He says, "If I can't explain it to Doris and Bertie, I don't fully understand it myself." That's powerful, because it means his ideas are universal, not just for suits in boardrooms, but for teenagers, teachers, and truck drivers. And here's the magic. When Buffett teaches, he uses stories, like the tale of the fat man at the buffet line, or the neighbor who buys stocks like he buys socks, on sale. These aren't just clever quips, they're sticky metaphors. They bypass the brain and hit the heart. Why does this matter? Because when people understand you, they trust you. When they trust you, they follow you. Buffett doesn't just build wealth, he builds belief through clarity, through connection, through language. Think about it. In a world flooded with noise, the one who speaks clearly stands out. That's why Buffett's voice carries more weight than most. Not because he's louder, but because he's understood. One time, Buffett was asked how he evaluates a business. Instead of listing metrics or formulas, he said, "If you don't feel comfortable owning something for 10 years, don't even think about owning it for 10 minutes." That's Buffett, no fluff. Just wisdom in one sentence. Modern parallel. In today's world, people overcomplicate everything, from investing to resumes to conversations. But Buffett reminds us, simplicity wins. Whether you're pitching a business, making a financial decision, or leading a team, your power is in your clarity. Apply today. Tips. Speak to be understood, not to impress. The smartest people use the fewest words. Use analogies. Turn your idea into a visual, a story, or a feeling people can relate to. Teach someone what you've learned. If you can't explain it simply, go back and learn it again. Step action plan. Simplify your language. Review your emails, texts, or messages. Can they be said in fewer words? Create a story bank. Keep a list of analogies or life stories that explain your values. Practice the Buffett test. Can a teenager understand what you're trying to say? Because at the end of the day, Warren Buffett's influence isn't just about what he knows. It's about how he translates wisdom into clarity. He turns noise into insight. He turns complexity into calm. And he does it all with a story and a smile. So the next time you need to explain something, don't reach for more words. Reach for better ones, because clarity is the real power move. We'll uncover Buffett's relationship with risk, how he sees it, avoids it, and sometimes embraces it. You'll learn why avoiding big mistakes was his secret weapon, and how you can build a safer, stronger financial future the Buffett way. You've heard it before. Success is about taking big risks, but Warren Buffett flips that on its head. His secret? He doesn't chase risk. He dodges it. Buffett's life has been a quiet battle against stupidity, not just failure. He doesn't aim to hit home runs. He aims to avoid striking out. Rule number 1, never lose money. Rule number 2, never forget. Rule number 1. That quote isn't just catchy, it's his compass. Because Buffett knows, making money is easy, keeping it, that's the art. When others go all in, Buffett steps back. When hype is high, he gets cautious. When the crowd gets greedy, he asks, what could go wrong? That's not fear, that's wisdom wrapped in discipline. Mini story. There was a hot tech stock in the late 1990s. Everyone wanted a piece of it. Buffett, he stayed away. People mocked him, called him old-fashioned, said he didn't get it. But when the bubble burst and fortunes vanished, Buffett was still standing, untouched. Why? Because he didn't risk what he couldn't afford to lose. He understood. You don't have to swing at every pitch. Risk to Buffett isn't just volatility. It's not just prices going up and down. It's permanently losing capital, buying what you don't understand, borrowing money to chase a dream. He avoids all of that. Think of risk like a slippery staircase. Buffett doesn't sprint up it. He climbs slowly, holding the rail, because one slip and the fall is steep. Modern parallel. Today, everyone wants fast wins, crypto, meme stocks, leverage, big bets for big gains. But Buffett's fortune wasn't built that way. He didn't bet the farm. He planted seeds and let them grow. Slowly, safely, surely. Apply today. Tips. Know your circle of competence. Don't invest in what you don't understand. Avoid debt-driven decisions. If you're borrowing to gamble, it's not investing. It's roulette. Accept boring over broke. Steady growth beats flashy crashes. Step action plan. Audit your risks. What are you doing financially that could collapse if things go wrong? Build a margin of safety. In savings, in time, in energy. Don't live on the edge. Study financial disasters. Learn what caused them and how to avoid repeating history. Buffett once said, "You only find out who's swimming naked when the tide goes out." And guess what? He always keeps his trunks on, because his wealth wasn't made by taking wild risks. It was made by respecting risk, by knowing that defense creates durability, and durability creates freedom. So if you're tempted by the next big thing, pause, ask yourself, what would Buffett do? He'd smile, sip his cherry Coke, and wait for a deal that made sense, without betting the house. That's not boring. That's brilliant. We will explore how Buffett built partnerships that lasted decades, and why picking the right people is just as important as picking the right stocks. You'll see how trust, loyalty, and shared values shaped the empire of Berkshire Hathaway. Warren Buffett doesn't just invest in businesses, he invests in people, because behind every deal, every stock, every billion-dollar bet, there's a human being. And Buffett? He knows that character compounds even faster than money. He's built his empire on a simple truth. You can't make a good deal with a bad person. And he lives by it. No matter how shiny the numbers look, if he doesn't trust the person behind them, he walks away. Trust, loyalty, integrity. Those are Buffett's real currencies, and they've earned him more wealth than any balance sheet ever could. Mini story. Take his partnership with Charlie Munger. They're opposites in many ways. Buffett's folksy and approachable, Munger's sharp-tongued and blunt. But together, they're unstoppable because they share one thing: unshakable values. For over 50 years, they've challenged each other, laughed with each other, and made billion-dollar decisions without a single contract. Just trust. That's rare and priceless. Buffett once said, "I choose to work with people I like, admire, and trust." That's not just a feel-good quote. It's a business filter, a life filter. Because when you surround yourself with people of integrity, your decisions get easier, your path gets clearer, and your life, it gets richer in every way. Modern parallel. Today, people chase followers, clients, connections. But Buffett reminds us, quality beats quantity. One honest partner is worth more than 100 flashy contacts. That one person who keeps their word, who shows up when it matters, who builds, not breaks. That's who you build empires with. Apply. Today tips. Vet the people behind the pitch. Always ask, do I trust them? Not just their product. Don't compromise on character. No opportunity is worth losing your peace over. Build long-term relationships, not just short-term wins. Buffett didn't get rich alone. He built tribes of trust. Step action plan. Audit your inner circle. Who lifts you up? Who drains your energy? Strengthen your best connections. Send a note. Make a call. Invest time, not just money. Say no to toxic partnerships. If your gut says it's off, trust it. Buffett always does. In a world chasing the next big thing, Buffett chases character. He knows that billion-dollar businesses rise and fall, but values, they last. So if you're building something big, a business, a dream, a legacy, start with people, because profits come and go. But people, the right people, build the snowball that never stops rolling. We'll dive into the emotional side of Buffett's journey, his personal struggles, regrets, and the lessons he learned the hard way. It's a rare look behind the curtain where money couldn't fix everything, but growth still happened. Warren Buffett is one of the richest men on earth, but ask him what really matters, and he won't talk about billions. He'll talk about regret, about the things money couldn't fix, about the moments he missed. Because for all his brilliance in finance, he admits he wasn't always rich in presence. You see, Buffett was obsessed with his craft. He spent hours alone, reading, thinking, analyzing. While others went out, he stayed in. While families played, he pored over balance sheets. And while that built an empire, it sometimes cost him at home. His relationship with his wife Susie was deeply loving, but also strained. She needed more emotional warmth. Buffett often couldn't give it. Not because he didn't care, but because he didn't always know how. You can't make someone feel loved by writing them a check. That's a lesson he learned the hard way. His children adored him, but growing up, they often felt like they were orbiting his world instead of being at the center of it. He wasn't abusive. He wasn't absent, but he was distant. A man caught up in ideas, sometimes missing the people those ideas were supposed to serve. Mini reflection. Imagine building a palace, but forgetting to furnish the rooms with love. That's how Buffett sometimes felt he had the walls, the foundation, the design. But some spaces, they echoed with silence. And yet, he grew, he evolved, he learned to listen more, to show up more, to value warmth as much as wisdom. Not just in numbers, but in nurture. Because he realized being rich in dollars doesn't matter if you're bankrupt in relationships. Apply today. Tips. Balance achievement with affection. Don't win the world and lose the ones who love you most. Don't wait to express care. A hug, a call, a kind word. These are priceless deposits in the bank of life. Build emotional intelligence. It's not soft. It's strategic and deeply human. Step action plan. Schedule time for people, not just projects. If it's not on the calendar, it won't happen. Ask, who needs more of me, not just more from me? Then act on it. Say the thing. The thank you, the apology, the I'm proud of you. Say it now, not someday. Buffett's journey reminds us even the most brilliant minds can miss the obvious. And sometimes the greatest ROI comes from a simple moment of connection. He once said, "When you get to my age, you'll measure your success by how many of the people you want to have love you actually do love you." That's the final scoreboard. Not net worth, but net love. So build wealth, but build it around a life that matters. Because the real snowball, it isn't just money compounding. It's kindness, care, and connection, compounding over time. Warren. Buffett's success didn't happen overnight. It was built on a foundation of simple, timeless investing truths. These aren't complicated formulas. They're principles anyone can learn, and they've stood the test of time. Buffett's first stock purchase was just a start. From there, he learned lessons that shaped every decision. Lessons you can apply today, no matter your experience. One key truth: invest in businesses, not stocks. Buffett doesn't buy ticker symbols. He buys pieces of companies he believes in, like owning a slice of a great cake, not just betting on the cake to rise. He studies their products, their people, their culture. Because the best companies do one thing: they keep getting better. Another truth: be patient. Buffett treats investments like trees. You don't rush a tree to grow. You plant it, water it, wait. Trying to get rich quick? That's a gamble, not an investment. And then there's the power of compounding. Money that earns money, which then earns more money, and so on. Buffett calls it the snowball effect. Start small, be consistent, let time do the heavy lifting. Mini story. Buffett bought shares of a candy company when he was a kid. Years later, those small investments grew into millions. Why? Because he didn't give up. Because he understood that wealth is built one smart choice at a time. Buffett also teaches us to avoid complexity. If you don't understand an investment, skip it. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Simple. Clear and honest investments win in the long run. Apply today. Tips: pick companies you understand and trust. Know what they do and why they're good. Hold for the long term. Don't panic at every market wobble. Reinvest your earnings. Let your money work for you continuously. Step action plan. Research one company you believe in today. Dive into what makes it great. Set a timeline to hold your investment. Months, years, even decades. Track your progress without obsessing. Let compounding work quietly in the background. Buffett's wisdom reminds us, investing isn't a sprint. It's a steady marathon, and with the right approach, you can build your own snowball, growing stronger with every passing day. We've journeyed through Warren Buffett's life, from a curious boy with a lemonade stand to the Oracle of Omaha, building a fortune beyond imagination. Now, let's distill his wisdom into one simple blueprint, a guide to wealth that's more than just money. Buffett's Snowball isn't just about cash, it's about mindset, values, and most importantly, action. He teaches us 3 powerful steps to build our own snowball, in money and in life. Step 1. Find your passion and purpose. Buffett didn't chase money first. He chased learning. He chased curiosity. Because when you love what you do, success follows naturally. Step 2. Commit to lifelong learning. Buffett reads hundreds of pages a day. He's never stopped. In a world of noise and distraction, learning is your edge. Step 3. Invest wisely. In people, companies, and yourself. Trust character over charisma. Value patience over impulse. And never stop improving. This blueprint works because it's simple, but it requires discipline, heart, and time. Buffett's life reminds us wealth is a snowball rolling downhill. The size depends on the effort you start with and the care you give it along the way. Mini reflection. Think of your life as a snowball on a snowy hill. Every choice you make adds a little more snow. Some days you push hard, some days you rest. But if you keep moving forward consistently and with purpose, your snowball grows unstoppable. So start today. Begin your snowball. Build wealth. Build character. Build a life you're proud of. Apply today. Tips. Identify one passion or goal to focus on. Read or learn something new daily. Even 10 minutes counts. Choose one wise investment in yourself or your future. Step action plan. Recap. Find your passion. Commit to learning. Invest patiently and wisely. Buffett's journey is proof. Success is not magic. It's the snowball effect of small, smart choices made every day. So it's your turn now. You don't need to be a genius. You don't need a perfect plan. All you need is the courage to begin and the desire to grow. Even one small idea can change everything. Because thinking is just the beginning. Growth. And real success comes from doing. If this video moved you, tap like, hit subscribe, and share it with someone who's ready to rise. This is Fortune Doubles, where timeless books spark real-life breakthroughs. See you in the next story.